Good morning. So I was up this morning. The butcher was going to come and he was going to do a couple of these steers, but it was raining at his place. So he phoned me and he said, "Is it raining over there?" It wasn't yet, but about 5 minutes after he phoned, right around 8 o'clock this morning, it started raining, and it's gross. It never dried up here yet. Looks like we're going to get some sunshine today, but we haven't really had much for sunshine. It's been pretty awful. But so our one big bin of barley, I've been watching it with my monitor. There was one sensor number 5. This bin has 9 sensors. 1 is on the floor, 9 is at the roof. Sensor number 5, it wasn't going down, and every few days it was actually getting a degree warmer. We got real busy this week, and I had to I just never made it back up here to check. So I come in here last night and my fear was confirmed. So this is the importance of having this this monitor and temperature cables, at least in your big bins. So our one big barley bin, when I plugged into it a few days ago, I seen that the one sensor number 5, crazy enough, it wasn't going down. In fact, it was going up. So 18 days ago, you'll see here, it was 28. 14 days ago, it was 28. 8 days ago, it was 31. And when I plugged into it last night, it was 39. Now, there's nothing, at this point, there's nothing wrong with the grain. And if you leave it, though, then you'll start to get, it'll start to heat and then become moldy and rotten and burnt and whatever else. So I did take a load out last night and was hoping that would be enough to at least get it to start going the other way, but it wasn't. So I got to fill my feed bins anyways. So I'm going to grab a couple more loads out of that bin. And then once I get my feed bins down in the yard full, I'm going to put an aeration fan on it. And that should that should take it down. Okay, so that first load that I took out, and often because of the way the air cycles through a bin, once the bin's full of grain, you're going to end up with your toughest grain right at the top. So the first load that I took out last night is the grain from the top, right? That's how, when you unload a bin, the grain from the top goes down through all the other grain and comes out first. So I just threw it in there. I got 25 on the monitor. It was about 13 degrees. So 13 up to 25 is 14.6. So for feed, 14.8 is dry. So it is dry. And like I said, there is nothing wrong with the grain. So the grain is nice. There's no smell to it. It is it's just warming up. And that's going to be because of something we did when we were drying it. So like I say, when you don't cool it down enough off the start, you can end up with it rebounding and getting warm again. So that's going to be the plan for today. I'm going to go grab that swing auger and bring it down, put it in the bin, take 3 or 4 loads out of that bin, and then put the fan on it. We've always found that if you can get the cone, instead of like peaked up from where you had filled it, if you can take that cone and get it going the other way, the air even flows through the bin better. So that's gonna be what I'm gonna do here. I got to move the ladder over and flip the lid open, go up. I'll just grab the swing auger because it'll be faster and easier to move, and then easier to back up to, easier, and we'll go from there. All right, so we hauled about 7 loads out of this 12,000 bushel bin, which should be about 3,500 bushels. And the crazy thing, Dad kept testing it, and he was getting 14.6, 14.8, and 19 degrees. We never did get warm grain. So, I guess potentially maybe that bin cable has failed. We never knew the longevity of those cables. We haven't had one fail yet. So, but it's not something we could risk. So, a 12,000 bushel bin of barley could be worth, if it's malt, could be worth upwards of 120,000 bucks. If it's feed, it could be like, well, if it's $8 a bushel, that's going to be 80, and then another 2. So it could be like $96,000 as well. So nothing to toy with, and we don't. So as I've said before in a lot of videos, we don't have true aeration in floor with the vents and all that stuff. But I got the roof opened up, and as I've explained in our other videos, the way we built these bins and the way we set them up, we ran a perforated aeration duct all the way into the center of the bin from the door. So with that sock, we can tie onto our aeration fan and blow air in there. So now that bin's not full. There's 3,500 bushels out of it. So instead of being coned up to the peak, being right full like it was, it's now, the cone is pointed down, and it's basically about the bottom of that West Steel, that name, that decal up there. So we're gonna blow on this for a little while. I'm gonna, once I find out where Corey put the bin checker monitor, I'll show you that too. The last load that we took out, that went from, it was 39.5 or whatever, so it registered 40 on the one screen because it rounds up. Boom, it went right down to, I think, 20 something, and I don't know, it seems weird. But anyways, so we got it out. Long story short, crisis averted, I guess. I don't know if there even was a crisis. None of the grain had any smell to it. If grain starts to heat and get moldy and musty and way out of condition, you know, if you let it go too long, you can smell it right away. It smells gross. It gets white dust on it, and effectively at that point it's no good if you let it go too far. So this we're pretty, I guess, excited about. I mean, it was a lot of work, and it's muddy and it sucks, but I don't know. It's now we know. It's good. So I'm not sure how long the fan's been running, but we'll see where we land. I'm just gonna plug it in here now. Hopefully my phone doesn't die. Log, page. So, we've checked it quite a bit, but here was the one that threw everybody off. It was 40 degrees, and now it's, you know, it was 21, 20, 18, back up to 21. So we do have the fan going, which will be pushing any of that heat out of there. And we did know it was warm because we didn't dry it, or sorry, we didn't cool it in the dryer. We didn't get it as cool as we wanted. So we know that, you know, we know that there is 26, 27 degree barley in there. So all the rest of these numbers, they do make sense. But we didn't encounter any bad grain. So as I said in my other video about these bin cables, they let you know that something's wrong long before it becomes a financial or a quality issue in your grain. I'm gonna climb up here and just see if I can feel the air coming out the top. I should be able to, because we took a bunch of barley out, and you know, I could feel it before when the bins were right full. Everything is working as it should. Sometimes when you drop some chaff in there, oh, you can see it goes straight up. So the one thing I will say, and we don't know for sure if this happens, but because that tube only runs right down into the middle, from the door to the middle, we really don't know how much channeling actually happens. So does the air get all the way through all of the grain? Maybe, maybe not, I guess. The aeration guys will tell you that it's totally ineffective and inefficient and it doesn't work. But yet when you watch guys with huge piles, and I've seen on YouTube, you know, the huge corn piles and stuff. That's not solid either. So these bins are only 27 feet around, and so what's the most you're gonna have? Like, 14 feet either way of that aeration fan ducting, and not even, right? You're gonna have, what would be, I guess, 13 and a half feet, but that's 20-inch ducting. So you're about maybe 12 feet from the end of that fan. And I can tell you, because I just stuck my face into that hole, there's quite a bit of heat, quite a bit of moisture coming out of there, which is perfect. Lots of guys, they that was a big thing for a while, where they wouldn't cool the grain in the dryer. They'd put it right in the bin and then turn the fans on and cool it that way. We're not that brave. We did leave our grain cycle 15, 20, 30 minutes through the dryer, but in order to stay ahead of the combine, sometimes we had to cut that time down a little bit, so it was only in the dryer 10, 15 minutes with the heat off. And I think that probably was the issue there. So that cable went from 40 down to whatever degree, so it must work, and it must have been indicating that the grain in that one spot in the bin was heating up. So I'm glad we got it out. We got the 3,500 bushels out. It was all good. The biggest indicator you'll ever have for grain being bad is smell. Right away you'll know, like it'll just stink. And I mean, this grain all smells good. And I knew it wasn't going to be a problem because it was all dried. If it wasn't dried, then we probably would have been, in a real wreck right away. But it's just that when you dry the grain, and if you don't do it properly, dry it down and then give it the cycle to cool down, you can end up with it bouncing back, and that's obviously what happened today. But anyways, I'm waiting for one more guy to come. He's going to get a bag of grain, a tote of molasses, and a lick tank, and then I'm in for supper. So, as always, to those who are watching, thank you very much. We'll see you all on the next one.